Well, it's been a while since I last put anything up on YouTube. This is going to be a mailbox. You can see it's a gas bottle, and I've got it on the geared drive I made up. I showed you in the earlier one, and I just use that to plasma cut it. Gives a really, you see along the edge, gives a really nice finish. And then I've just manually welded these bits. So these are just to direct the water when it rains. It pours down with rain. It's got a little lip in there and a lip there, and the hinge will be in there, so that'll block that out. And of course there'll be a peak up the top there, and that will stop the rain. Hopefully, I've got a few of these around, and they stay remarkably dry. You find usually on mailboxes things get wet and the snails get in and eat the damp letters. I don't have that problem with mine. I actually get dust on the bottom of them. So I'll keep you posted as we go along. As I say, this is a Darth Vader influenced one. I've made some other parts. I'll do a separate video on those and show you what they are like. Okay, this part here is of course the famous Darth Vader mask. You see, I don't know if they're going to focus on it. I just cut the top part out here. TIG welded it to this, which is just a bit of steel I bent round, and then banged it on the mill and cut the slots in it. I made a few of those up. Now I'm just going to, on the edge here, I'll just flap that smooth, so there's no, you won't be able to see any weld or anything. It'll just be perfectly smooth all over and shiny, and ultimately it'll get tigged onto the door there. Thank you. The next step involved in this mailbox of ours is to make Mr. Vader's unique headgear. Remember, he had a helmet on which looked a bit like the old World War II coal scuttles. Remember they have come. Now what this is what we call a frustum of a cone, which is spelled F-R-U-S-T-U-M. I suspect it's Latin or Greek origins, but anyway, that's what we've got to make. Now, coming across to here, this is a cone, okay? It's a triangular shape. We all know what they are. Dunce's hat. When you whack the top off parallel to the bottom, it becomes a frustum of a cone, which is what we have here. Now, I don't want it to close up here. I only want, to come around part way. So when I lay this out, I'm going to lay it out for 2/3 of a frustum. I'll only go 2/3 of the circumference. And then when I roll it and coming back up here, remember the rollers I made? Well, there's the finished article, and I will roll this on those rollers, and you'll see the finished product. I have determined that the base to apex of this thing is 1100, no it's not, I'll tell a lie, it's 1011 millimeters, and the frustum is 763. So let me get on with marking this, and I'll scribe all the lines, and I'll bring you back. This thing seems to be having focusing problems. These are my set of trammels. I made these up years ago. I don't know if it's going to come in and focus on that. You can see them. I've got them on a piece of about 3/4 or whatever wood, and you see up this end, and you can see just down here somewhere, if my finger comes, you can see the line I have scribed. So what I'm going to do now is replace that one there. I'll do that with the head of my plasma cutter, and I'll cut that arc out, and then the other one will be, I have to put another line in here yet, and then I'll cut that piece out, and then in the end I'm going to get a cutout a bit like this one here. Was be exactly the same as that virtually. And that would be what gets rolled to make the bottom of Mr. Vader's unique headpiece, or Nazi type coal scuttle helmet. Right, the next part of this is to mark out this hang on, where are we? This piece here, I've got to mark out this distance for the piece to cut out, so we're going to make that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark out, what is it? 2/3 of this circumference here. Now I know that the diameter of this is 320 millimeters, so half of 320 millimeters, or the radius, is 160. Now a radius will go into a circumference. If you take your dividers here, and make a circumference, scribe it out. The radius of that will go into it 6 times. So I only want 4 radius, so I'll take two from that side, 2 on that side, and that gives me the, when I go back to the point, it gives me the size of the cutout. Right, there's the finished article. It's been cut out. It's all cooled down now, and what I've got to do now is just clean these edges up. Sometimes the old hand shakes a bit when I'm cutting with the plasma. Clean all the dross off. There's a little bits of dross on the edges here. Clean that up so it's smooth, and then start rolling it. Just as an aside, these are a set of trammels I made up many years ago, around about between 52 and 55 years ago when I was an apprentice. I milled this piece out of a piece of solid. Oops, drop it all on the floor, why don't you? And a little bit of decorative milling in the back. This piece here is they're ram set, and they shoot them into concrete with a charge, and it has a thread on the end of it. And I just used those and screwed them into that. This part here is from memory, around about 1/4 UNC, and I just made a couple of little swivel on the end, and that piece there. That's a recent addition. This one, I should have knurled it, but I might take it off and do it again. But that's all. That's so you can do some quite decent circles. Now this stuff's pretty hard to get a good point on it. It's digging into my finger quite well there, and that's how I make the lines. Okay, I'm just sitting this in here to show you where it's gone. This is rolled to the curvature of the bottle, and just in there, and turn the rollers around and just keep going. I usually just adjust, where are we? This part here, I just bring it around 1 point at a time. When I first couple, I'll do maybe 3, then 2, then 1 at a time, because you can guarantee if you think, oh, I'll give it 1 more, that 1 more is too much and the thing bends out of shape. So this is a pretty straight conventional roll. You line it up square with the side of the rollers and start rolling. On the other hand, this is curved. To get back a bit, you can see the whole shape is curved. So what I do in this case, I put this hard up against that edge. So that side's touching that edge. You can see the wear on the other side there. And then coming around here, you can see here I've lined that up just by eye. Look over the top, but it's pretty straight. Now when I tighten the rollers up and start dragging this through, it's going to put a drag on that bit, and it's going to force the thing around to follow the shape. I'll have to lean on it a bit too, but it more or less will follow the shape of the curve, and then it will roll it into a cone. I'll get someone else to film this while I'm doing it. This is just a progress. You can see it's starting to form the shape of a cone. It's quite, I'm puffing away, it's quite physically demanding, rolling the thing through. When it gets a little bit closer, I'll see if I can coerce my wife into taking the last couple of photos. And then I've just got to measure across the inside diameter. When it gets to 320 mil, that's it. If you listen, you can hear this rubbing against the side, and that's forcing the cone round the side of the roller. You can also hear me puffing and panting away too. It takes a bit of effort. Now it's just about there. Just one more. I'll just line it up again. That might be pretty close. Have a look. No. I'll just do one more point on this, and one more on that, and we go back again. So this stage where you're just thinking you're going to take one more, it turns out there's one more than you need. It's just about there. Yep, I think that's done. And there you go, one roll cone. Now to get a flat disc and clean everything up, then it can be welded on, painted. Thank you.